We continue with the laws of witnesses, testimony in a court. In the middle of Eidim Zoimimim. Eidim Zoimimim are witnesses. Hold on a second, sorry. They're lying witnesses. They lied about their testimony and they were caught. How were they caught? Not because there was a contradiction from another set of, but witnesses said, they gave testimony that, on Sunday, February the 16th, we gave witness to that, two people gave witness that this person made, a loan. This person, we saw him murder someone. We were witness to it. And they gave testimony, right? Whatever the testimony is. They said, wait, Wednesday, February the 16th, you were with us. You were with us in, in New York. Now, if they could have been in New York and Montreal the same day, then fine. But if they couldn't be, then that's called, that's having their testimony. We don't call it a contradiction. It means that they're lying. They're not coming to say, oh, he didn't lend money. You say one set of witnesses said lend, and the other says not lend. One says he killed, and the other says didn't kill. Right? That's contradicting each other. Here, and this is, as Rambam says, it's a gzeirus hakotsav. It's like a decree of God. It's not really logical, because the second witnesses they're not canceling each other out. The second witness is making the first set as liars. And therefore, what they wanted to do, the Torah tells us, gets done to them. So if their testimony was now adjudicated a death sentence to that person, they get the death sentence, unless the person was actually indeed killed. That's part of the details, okay? So let's go into chapter 20. Lying witnesses are neither executed, given lashes, or required to make financial restitution unless both of them were fit to serve as witnesses. And they were both disqualified through hazama after the judgment was rendered. So they have to be both fit to be witnesses. In other words, if they're not fit to be a witness, then their testimony is invalid to begin with. So it's irrelevant, their testimony. It's only that their testimony is causing the defendant, right, either to get the death sentence or to make restitution because you said, you're a thief, or, you're a thief, or whatever the case may be, right? Or you didn't pay back the loan, whatever it is, right? And it's your testimony that's doing it. But if you were disqualified as a witness, then your testimony is worthless. So it doesn't matter that you were lying. Because even if you were telling the truth, it wouldn't be accepted because you're disqualified as a witness. If, however, only one of them is disqualified through hazama, they're both disqualified through hazama before the judgment was rendered. Yeah. Or after the judgment was rendered, one of them was disqualified because of the family connections, or because he was unfit to serve as a witness. Witnesses are not punished, even though they are disqualified through hazama, and no longer acceptable to deliver testimony in all other matters of scriptural law. Second. Right. So even if only one of them, because because with two witnesses is a group, whether it's two or it's 100, right? It's one grouping. And since one of them is disqualified, so then the whole testimony is disqualified. Okay? Halacha 2. Although according to Talmudic logic, one might differ. If a person against whom they testified was executed and then they were disqualified for Hazama, they are not executed. This is derived from the verse, which speaks that what they conspired to do implied that if they was not already done, the rule is part of the oral tradition. So our tradition means it was given, as we're learning in the Talmud course, right? This was given by Moses. It's not derived. It's received at Mount Sinai, right? Because the verse says what they conspired to do and not what they did is the implication. Meaning if through their testimony the person had paid back the money and they were lying and they really shouldn't have paid back the money, or that the person got the death sentence, wrongly so, right? So then, because again, it's not based on logic, it's based on what the verse is telling us, and based on what the oral tradition is that it means what they conspired to do, but not what they did. Only when they conspired to do it, in other words, the judgment was made, you have to pay back, or there's a death sentence, and the person didn't pay or didn't get the death sentence, um, actually done, right? Then whatever the lying witnesses conspire to do, it's done to them. But if it was already done, then it's not done to them. Okay, I hope that was clear. Again, why? There's no why here. I mean, you can give reasoning, but it's not based on reasoning. That's important. It's based because that's what the verse is saying, right? Period. If, however, the person against whom they testified was lashed, they are lashed. Why? Hmm. So why they would get, the punishment that they do, because what they wanted to try, the lying witnesses try to accomplish. So for them, it's an atonement. But that's only if they were not killed. If they were killed, so that itself is an atonement. The defendant. But lashes isn't that, so therefore they get the lashes. Something like that. Similarly, if money was expropriated from one person and given to another, it is returned to its owner, and the witnesses are required to pay the penalty. Okay, so only when it comes to the death sentence is right? But otherwise, lashes or money, they have to pay. Following laws apply if there are 3 or even 100 witnesses. If the witnesses deliver testimony in court, one after the other, each one testifying immediately after his calling, and several of them were disqualified through Hazama, they do not receive punishment until all of them are disqualified through Hazama. In other words, they all have to be lying to be meted out this, what they wanted to do, right? If however in the interval between testimonies was greater than the time of the student and agreed teacher, testimonies are divided into two, and the two who were disqualified through Azama are punished. Wow, interesting idea. So that's only because they're all one group, because one came right after the other, right? Each one's interrogated, right? There's no separation between them. But if there was a separation, a division between them, so then they're divided into two. And if two of them, right? If two of them are come together, then if two of them are found to be lying, then they would be punished because if both of them, in other words, even though let's say there were 100, but they were separated into different groups because it's just a time period. The two who testified after there was such an interlude between their testimony and that of the first pair are not punished. This applies even though their entire testimony is disqualified because all of the witnesses are considered as one group. When the testimony of part of a group is disqualified, the entire testimony is disqualified. Okay. When one witness delivers testimony, that testimony is investigated. And a second witness says, I also testified like him. Yes, this is what happened, or the like. They are both executed, lashed, or subjugated to financial penalty if they were both disqualified through Hazama. Rationale is that any witness who says, yes, this is what happened, after his colleague testifies, is considered to having testified and responded to cross-examination as his colleague did. Others are considered as one group. That's the point. One group. So therefore, if they both are lying, right? Obviously, we're talking about that they were both found to be lying, right? Then they are, and the judgment was made against the person, but it wasn't carried out, the judgment. There is no concept of inadvertent transgression with regard to lying witnesses because the transgression does not involve a deed. Therefore, there's no need for a warning, as we explained. Hmm. Witnesses, right? Witnesses have to tell the person that that they have to be aware of the punishment um, and they have to know that they're doing something wrong and that there's a punishment for it, right? That's what witnesses means, warning uh, of the individual. But but lying witnesses don't need to be warned because they're trans because when you're doing a transgression, you're doing an action. You need to be aware that that action is a prohibition and that it's punishable. Here, there's no action. Therefore, there's no need to take action to warn the person. Therefore, just the fact that they're lying is sufficient. Psh, wow, fascinating. In other words, the reason why you have to warn the person when they're doing an action, because maybe that action is being done inadvertently, how do we know for sure it's willful? Not exactly clear when it comes to murder, how that get that, but I guess some actions might be inadvertent. So therefore you need to bring an awareness to a person. But here there's no action, there's just lying. Well, lying, I guess, being first of all not an action, so you don't need to take action. And secondly, the person's aware of what they're doing. Just as two witnesses can disqualify 100 witnesses for Azama, if the 100 testify one time, so too they can disqualify them for Azama if they were testifying as groups, as 50 groups, coming two by two. So what's implied? A group of witnesses testified that Reuben and Shimon killed Shimon in Jerusalem. Two witnesses came and disqualified the group through Hazama. Right? So no, you were with us in Tzfat, northern Israel, on that day. There's no way you could get back to Jerusalem. That there's no way that Reuben, could have killed you, that you could have seen him. No, sorry. You're not contradicting the facts of what happened. You're just saying that the person or the two people who were witnesses saying that Reuben killed Shimon in Jerusalem. How's that possible? You were with us. You two witnesses were with us in Tzfat that day, and there's no way you'd be able to get there on a camel or even on horseback. Um, that day it would take you longer. So therefore, you were with us. It means you're lying, right? So that's what they came. Now another group came and delivered the same testimony that Reuven killed Shimon. And these two witnesses arose and disqualified that group through Hazama. And this happened to a third and fourth time. Even it happens 100 times. All the witnesses are executed on the basis of the testimony of these two. So two people said, but Reuben, two witnesses came and said, Reuben killed Shimon, Jerusalem, right? And then, so the two that said, well, you were with us in Tzfas. Then came another two witnesses and said, Reuben killed Shimon in Jerusalem. Another two witnesses. 50 groups of witnesses came and said. And the same pair said, no, you were with us in Tzfas that day. All of you were. They're all guilty. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Who would like to continue with Chumash and Rashi? Want to come back? We'll close this down and you come back, yeah? Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. We'll see.